There we go. Hello, 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 everybody. Do. Everybody going live. Now I know that's live. Hello. Let's do this. Hello, everybody that's joining us on LinkedIn. Hello, hello, hello. I just wanted to say a quick hello, and we are going to go live in the audio any second now to welcome everybody in the audio. So if I'm not always looking directly at the camera, it's because this is being multi-streamed on YouTube. It's being multi-streamed on LinkedIn Live. It's being multi-streamed. Hello, everybody that's joined the audio room. Elizabeth, Shirley, and Rachel. Hello, lovely to see you. Nice and early. Give me a heart if you can hear me in the audio room. Hello, Gia, Lily. Just give me a hearts to make sure you can hear me okay. Because if you can't hear me okay, we have problems. There we go. Hello, everybody that's joining us in the audio room. Just give me some hearts. Let me see that you can hear me okay. Let me get some either thumbs up or hearts. There's a heart. Hello, everybody that's watching us live on the other channels. I just wanted to welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. Depends where you are in the world. This is one of my lives. I am back. I am back from a bit of a break. So the lives will be back every 2 weeks, particularly on a Thursday around midday. So do make sure that you already follow me and subscribe. And then, of course, if you have any questions throughout this, feel free to send them directly to me, or by all means, we can always arrange a conversation. So hello to everybody who's listening on all the other channels, and hello to everybody in the audio room. So I'm going to get going very shortly with the 7 steps, which I want to talk about today. It'll probably take about half an hour. Hello, Felicity. Lovely to see you. Sophie, Arpit, Nicola. Lovely to see you all here. And I'm sure other people will join us as we go along. If you've never, ever, 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 ever seen, heard, spoken, connected with me, well, first things first, do connect with me, follow me on LinkedIn, send me a friend request. Just a little bit of insight about me. What do I do? For over a decade now, I've worked with experts who speak, expert entrepreneurs who want to use speaking as part of their marketing, their brand extension, who truly want to get out there, make an impact, use their voice for good. I've written 6 books. I'm finishing my 7th book. I run the Speaker Awards, which is coming into its 3rd year now. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself, and I'm here to help every single one of you make sure that in these challenging times, you can go out there, be seen, be heard, get booked, get paid, and always be more giraffe as well. So that's a little bit about me. There'll be opportunities to ask questions as well, especially if you are in the audio room. So do make sure if you have a question, you put your hand up. I would love to answer any questions you have live. If I don't quite see comments and things like that, I will get back to you. So let's get going, really. You're here not to hear me, but to really find out how we can get you out there a lot more. Hello, Gina. Hello, Tano. Welcome. Welcome to everyone watching us tonight as well. So the first thing I really, 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 really want to talk about, the first step to monetizing your speaking, and those who have worked with me before go, oh, yes, he's always banging on about this, is this, right? Even as early as this week, and I pretty much get this weekly, Elliot, I'm not getting speaking gigs. Elliot, I'm not getting booked. Elliot, it's not quite happening, or I'm not attracting the speaking opportunities that I want. If that's you, give me a heart or put a heart in the comment or wherever you are. Here's what I want to say about it. The first step when it comes down to this, right? The first step is positioning. So step number 1, really, really have a look at your positioning. And what do I mean by that? Your positioning must carve out the bookings you want. It's not even an option, it's a must. Are you positioned in a way that shows you to be a speaker that stands above the rest? And we can talk about all of that, what makes you stand above the rest, right? Is your positioning solid enough? I.e., this also leads to step number 2, but I'll go into that. Is it clear the problem you solve, right? So your positioning must come first. So you're positioning to be a speaker that's booked, a speaker that solves a problem, right? Now, depending on who's in this room and who's watching this live, here's the thing. Now, a lot of you are aware that you solve a problem because you're in business. Remember that when we're talking about positioning is about the booker, whether they run an event, whether they want to book you for a corporate event, which is where the money is at, by the way. Corporate is where the money's at. Or whether they want to put you in front of a community. you are positioning yourself to be booked. So it's not necessarily for the audience, although that is true in the case of coaches, trainers, consultants, and businesses. You remember your positioning is to appeal to bookers. So what you really need to think about here is your positioning. Are you positioning yourself in a way that demonstrates step number two, the problem you're solving, and that the bookers get what you do, right? And that's what's really important. So, positioning and problem for the bookers. You see, a lot of us go, well, of course they know. Look, if they all they have to do is look at my LinkedIn profile, my YouTube, my Instagram, and they'll see. Keep in mind that bookers, I don't necessarily mean bureaus. That's a different conversation. Maybe I'll do that another time. That bookers work quickly. They need to see what you are, what you stand for, who you do, all this stuff quickly. Therefore, if they land on their LinkedIn page, right, can they quickly see from your LinkedIn page your positioning and potentially the problem? Quickly, I'm talking about, right? See the problem you're solving. So, step number one is your positioning. This is so important. All right. I cannot tell you how important this is. A lot of people that come to me and work with me, whether they do the audit with me or whether they work with me long term, they come and they're like, I want to get booked, I want to get paid, I want to make an impact, right? Those it tends to be in various orders. The first thing I look at is their positioning. Are you positioned in a way that shows that you are a professional speaker, right? Things like having public speaker by your name actually doesn't tell me you're a paid speaker. Expert speaker, professional speaker does. So these are the little small tweaks. Now, again, we run audits. So if you want us to do an audit with you, drop me a line. We'll happily do that. It's really important, the positioning. I cannot reiterate. And also, let's say you are positioned in that way. How often do you review your positioning? Again, recently, what's happened in the world and across the globe is a lot of speakers that were positioned in a certain caliber are now struggling because they haven't reviewed their positioning. So I really want to talk about that, which is why I started with that. And of course, the articulation of the problem you solve is really important as well. That's step number two. Can people get the problem you're solving quickly, easily, up front, or do they have to really dig, sift? Do they have to really dive into something to see what the problem is you're solving? Now, remember your LinkedIn page or your speaker website or your one pager. So those are your speaker assets, your show reel is to start the conversation. Now, these are all sales tools towards selling you, right? But these are important aspects of you getting paid to speak, making money. Now, of course, there's two ways to make money from speaking. There's get paid to speak and there's speak to sell. So those are other things. The question is, can you be a hybrid? Right? This isn't a step, it's more a question. Are you happy to speak to sell, stand on stage and sell? Right? There's ways to do that in a way that isn't douchey, isn't salesy, isn't, yucky. You can do that in a way that's congruent to your brand. And also, are you, getting paid to speak? They're all relevant. It all depends who you are as a speaker. So we talked about positioning. We talked about problem, right? Step one, positioning. Step two, defining the problem. Now, extension to step two, as well as defining your problem, is also your unique value, right? So while articulating the problem you solve, what's the value of booking you, right? What's the value that you bring to the audiences? What are the takeaways? Because remember, people don't want information. We have information. We have YouTube. We have TikTok. We have Instagram. We have Google. We do not need more information, period. Right? So, what's the value that you bring? What's the takeaways for the audience? So, again, unique value proposition, as it might be termed. Problem articulation, value proposition is all part of the same step. What makes you different and unique? What makes me want to book you? Now, of course, you can be in front of 10 speakers, all offering the same thing. Relationships are important. How you position yourself are important. So all of these things matter, but what makes you different? Right. Yesterday, I was on a partner call with a lady, and part of her talk, she does air drumming, right? It's, she gets people up and they get sticks, and it's all part of her talk. That's really unique. I can't think of many speakers that suddenly in the middle of a talk related to the talk get everybody to do air drumming, right? Now, that's not enough to sell her as a speaker, but it's something that gets her to stand out. right? A friend of mine starts with a didgeridoo. How can you be different? But what's the unique value proposition you're bringing to the table to get booked and be paid for? So have a think about that. I feel a lot of people that enter the speaking arena enter it because they think it's an easy avenue, right? It's an easy avenue to make money. It can be easy, but you have to put the hard work in first, right? Does that make sense? So it can be an easy way to make money, but you got to do a lot of hard work because actually, especially these day and age where there's lots of tight budgets and we have information, so you don't need people to give me more. Then actually you need to stand out even more. It's more competitive than ever in many ways because if I'm going to spend two, three, four, 5,000s on anyone, I need to make sure that that person is the mustard, right? I need to make sure that that person is the bomb.com because I need to make sure my money goes further, right? And that's the difference. A few years ago, you could call yourself speaker. People go, sure, what's your budget? And you get paid. It's changed a lot. Changed a lot. So your unique value proposition and your problem articulation, step 2, is really, really important as well. Step number 3, I'm going to talk about is really, really, right, about your visibility. So we talked about your positioning. We talked about problem articulation, value, but also talk about your visibility. Let me talk about your visibility a bit. Now, again, a lot of you probably bolt in speaking. I don't know how many of you here are outright speakers. Like, all I do is speak. I get paid to speak. That's the only business I run. Most speakers do speaking, even if they're paid to extend their speaking, right? So what I really want you to think about is, how are you showing up online, right? Are you showing up online? Are you not showing up online and then expecting people to book you to speak? Now, if you want to get booked to speak and to make money from it, then people need to see you speak. Now, one of the easiest forums to be seen speaking is online. Are you sharing enough content? Are you visible enough, A, to show up above the rest, but B, to be booked because of what they see? Excuse me. Right? And these are things a lot of speakers forget. They leave that out. Video's king, right? You can just be banging out videos left, right, and center to demonstrate your speaking. You could be sharing parts of your talk to demonstrate your speaking. But are you visible? Is there enough visibility that demonstrates to me that I want to book you? So I've been booked recently for a few gigs, paid, a real mixture of paid or unpaid. But the one thing they all said to me is how much they could find on me online, right? And of course, I have stuff that once people get in touch, I'll send. Yeah. So I just want you to think of step number 3, your visibility. How visible are you? Because this isn't an industry, if you want to get paid to speak and you want to monetize your speaking, this really isn't an industry to be shy. Now, you can be an introvert. That's okay. By the way, there's plenty of introverted speakers. Perfectly okay. You don't have to be an extrovert, but what you do need to be is visible. Visible. It's almost, being a speaker is a bit like thinking as a content production line that offers speaking versus I'm a speaker and I create content, because that's really, again, what's going to help you make money from speaking, right? Today's all about the 7 steps to making money. So problem, talk about positioning, problem articulation, and your value. And then again, visibility is what's going to help you make money, because it helps people to find you, want to book you, and have conversations with you, right? So I just wanted to start with those ones. That's really, really important. And again, if you have any questions in the audio room, feel free to put your hand up and I'll gladly answer them shortly. And also, if I'm not quite getting to your comments, then I will do as soon as I finish this as well. So those are the first 3 steps. So I hope I've got you thinking, and I hope I've got you, really starting to reassess your positioning, and is your problem clear? And if you're not sure, by the way, read the problem, ask 10 people whose opinion and feedback you trust to tell you, can you get the problem I'm solving easily and quickly? You're not looking for a yes or, an ego boost. You're looking for real stern feedback. Boom. Oh, yes, I get it straight away from five, six, seven, eight, nine people. If you get one or two and the rest are no, there's some work to be done. So, very quickly, I just want to tell you that we are currently running some speaker audits. We can look at your marketing assets, we can look at your speaker, like your talks, and really help you refine that so you do get paid. And you can get yourself out there as, of course, a paid speaker, but as well that your marketing sells you as a speaker. So, if you're interested in that, drop me a message, drop me a DM, and I'll gladly do that with you. They're really, really right now, they're no brainer price. They're 97 UK pounds. It's about $110 for 45 minutes where we can assess that with you. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Okay. If you're interested, just drop me a line on wherever you're watching this, by the way, but probably LinkedIn. So let's carry on with some of the other steps I want to go through as well. And the other thing I want to talk about as step number four, right, is you've really, really got to master the art of selling yourself. If you want to get paid to speak, then, and when I mean master the art of selling yourself, we've talked about online, that's a sales. We've talked about your assets, right? So your show reel, your one pager, your website, your LinkedIn page, which is another website of yours. All these things sell you. But also when you get on the phone, the relationships you build, right? Your outreach, the kind of emails you send out. You've really got to get good at selling yourself. And I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but remember, this is about making money from speaking. Now, I'm not saying that has to take away from your impact that you might create, that has to, take away from you as a person. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to make money. Okay. Can we just agree on that? What's behind it is your intention for making money. And I'm not here to say, yes, no, that's good, that's bad, right? What I'm here to say is if you do want to make money from speaking, you need to get very good at selling yourself, right? So that means the type of emails you send out need to grab attention for the right reasons. When you jump on the calls, you need to be comfortable having that money conversation, those fee conversations. You need to be comfortable with that. If there's any clunkiness, or if they're like, how much do you charge? Well, I was hoping you'll tell me that. Or you're already transmitting that you're not comfortable or you're not professional, right? Know your value, know what you bring to the table, know the fee you want to ask for, be comfortable having the money conversation, get very good at selling yourself. And that's the next step I want to talk about, because if you're not comfortable with that money conversation, with the fee conversation, with how are you going to make money, or you'll never get paid your worth, right? I'll never forget, recently a speaker turned to me and he was really upset. He's really upset because this speaker, right? This speaker was making thousands while he was still making hundreds. And I really pushed it back to them and I almost held up a mirror and I was like, look, are you asking for the fee you want? And then the whole conversation around, I can't ask for that much. I can't do this much. And I was like, look, if you're going to talk to me and can't, then you can't resent the person that can, right? Oh, because they were saying, how can that person ask for thousands of pounds when they speak? Well, because they can ask for it and they're asking and they're getting for it. So get comfortable with selling yourself. That's one of the key things to making money, right? I'll come to you in a second, Nicola. I'll bring you on stage, but just bear with me while I carry on talking a little bit about this. All right. So you just stay muted, Nicola. Lovely to see you as always. So I just want to kind of put that on the table. That is important that we do get the comfortable with this. All right. Wherever you're watching this, one of the key things you could do to monetize your speaking better is to get very comfortable having these conversations. Okay. I'm going to pause. I'm going to take this question and then I'm going to come back to the other steps. So, Nicola, let me, do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question? And I'll repeat it for other people watching. Hey, Nicola, lovely to see you. I'm good. Thank you. Yep. 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 Mm. Yep. Yeah. Question coming. Yeah. Wow. Yes. Nice. Brilliant. So let me repeat that for people who are watching the other channel. So Nicola here came on stage here in the audio room and talked about it's more about the intention. So Nicola's part of our alert service that we offer. And by the way, if anyone does the audit, then you get the alert service included. So she talked about just setting the intention and really putting yourself out there. Nicola, in her case, is a Christian woman, and what she's found is Christian platforms where she could express herself. She's been invited on podcasts. So a lot of it is about the intention you put out there as much as, you know, what you can offer. So by putting yourself out there, we have a thing that says stage time is wealth time, right? And stage time, of course. And just by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, Nicola, would you say? Then actually you open up avenues. And it's the same around money conversations. Sometimes we need to get a little bit uncomfortable to finally get the fee we want or to finally get paid what we want. So just that's a brilliant addition there, Nicola. Do you want to add something quickly? Yep. Where the growth is. Brilliant. You can stay on stage if you want and keep me company, or you can go down. It's up to you. You can stay here and give me a virtual hug. Now, I welcome that. So, what Nicola was also saying there is, actually growth lives on the edge of discomfort or in discomfort. That's where we actually find we perform. There's a saying, is it that comfort is the enemy of success? So, although sometimes I just like to be comfortable for a little bit before I'm uncomfortable again. Give me a heart if you can relate to that, and just put a comment and say, "Yeah, me too." Sometimes I just want a little bit of comfort, just a tiny bit. So yes, brilliant. Thanks for the hearts there. So I'll carry on now. There's a few more minutes before we wrap up. So again, if you want to do an audit with me, drop me a message. I can send you information about it. I can help marketing and or your speaking. So we talked about positioning, we talked about problem articulation, we talked about your unique value, we talked about visibility. Of course, one of the steps I'm always going to talk about is investing in your development as as a speaker that wants to get paid. So that's your marketing. That is, of course, your delivery, right? We've got to invest in ourselves to stand above the rest, right? So that's one of the steps I'm going to add in there as well is invest in your development, period, right? And then we've got a couple more here that I want to talk about is networking, the importance of networking and networking in the right industries and in the right places as speakers is so important, right? Incredibly important because, for what I do, a communications expert, I stand on stage and I talk about and I speak about, and if you want to book me, talk to me, right? About communication. Generally, that's if I suddenly go in front of an audience that's not very important for, let's say, uh, accountants, because they're talking about the latest accountancy legislation. It's like I'm not networking the right circles. So make sure that part of speaking is networking, is showing up, is being visible, right? So make sure that you strategically network in the right place, even if indirectly, right? It appears that it's not quite giving you immediate results. Sometimes you need to keep showing up before you get the results. And that's something that happened to me recently. So last year we launched the Speaker Awards, right? And one of our partners is Rethink Press. And part of the reason that Rethink Press got involved is because they'd seen me show up. They know who I am. And they obviously seen me online, but also they got to know me. Now, even though indirectly we became partners, that happened because of showing up. And then when they need speakers or other partners of mine need speakers, even though it might not be a direct relationship, they turn to me, "Can you come and speak in my community?" Last week I did a talk in front of one of Intensive community, GTEx, right, in front of his international community because of they know the value I bring because we built that relationship and that network. Yesterday I was on a partners call, right? And again, people internationally, because you show up, opportunities open up. So Nicola talked about being uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable with networking, get yourself out there, but network in the right circles. So it's not always about networking with other speakers. And that's a mistake some people make is they think that networking is all about networking with other speakers. Not the case every time, right? It's great to have other speakers as part of your network. Absolutely. They refer things to you, refer things to them. They understand the journey you're going on, but strategically think, where do I need to show up? Where can I go networking, right? So Elizabeth here is an incredible speaker. She's up there. You know, she's in the canine space. So it makes sense for Elizabeth to go networking around canine events and canine experts, right? Although being part of a speaker circle is important, really, where who's going to book her are canine professionals, right? Who are running businesses. So just really think of it that way. And then I just want to talk about the last thing here of the steps before we wrap this up is to really think about targeting profitable industries as speakers that want to make money, right? So, number one, I can tell you now, period, from research that's been conducted and from experience, the money is in corporates, okay? To get paid to speak, money is in the corporates, unless you're happy to sell from stage. A lot of conferences and a lot of events, right? They want speakers, but they don't tend to pay as much. Most of them, some of them do, and that's your name, because they have to pay for a venue, they have to pay for AV, they have to sell tickets. So a lot of times, actually, events don't pay well. Not all the time, a lot of time. However, corporates don't have to sell, right? They have an audience, they have a workforce, they often have budgets for this. So actually, I would suggest a lot of you, if you want to make money from speaking, is have a corporate strategy. Get into the corporates, right? In the UK, if you're not part of bark.com, I suggest you join bark.com. And I don't mean a canine event, Elizabeth, but bark.com is really good for corporate events as well, and they have a range of £2,000 upwards, right? So check bark.com, but really have a corporate strategy if you want to get paid to speak, because that's where the money's at. But make sure the industry also pays speakers. So it's about doing a bit of research. For example, the sustainability space is massive. There's a lot of demand for speakers in it. Having done gig getters and alert service for a long time, I can tell you that often, not all the time, often in the sustainability space and the environmental space, they don't pay speakers very often. Not to say never, but often they don't. And often it's a pay to speak thing because it's visibility, you get your name out, and it helps to cover the cost of the event. So my very last tip is look for the industries that will pay, right? So we are now formulating a strategy to potentially go into law firms because I did some speaking this year in the law firm and they have budgets. And a lot of them now thinking forward, they're going, oh, okay, our normal way of work doesn't work. We need to do things slightly differently. Let's get speakers in. So we're starting to think, should we target lawyers or law firms, big ones, criminal ones, because they have the budgets. They'll pay for it if they can see a return, which dials back to your positioning, your problem articulation, your visibility, right, which I talked about. So I just want you to really have a think about that um, and really do some research. Yesterday, I started working with a new mentee, and again, she's in the hormone space. I'm like, we need to get you corporate ready because if they're going to book you, we need to articulate the problem that applies to their team, their workforce, their staff, right? So, really have a think about that. And really do some research. Yesterday, I started working with a new mentee, and again, she's in the hormone space. I'm like, we need to get you corporate ready because if they're going to book you, we need to articulate the problem that applies to their team, their workforce, their staff, right? So these are things to think about. So that's the last step. We talked about positioning, problem articulation, your unique value proposition, visibility, talked about investing in personal development in your growth, right? We talked about truly networking strategically and of course target profitable industries. So that's going to be it for now. If you want to do an audit with me, find out more about work, just drop me a message, DM me or LinkedIn me. Let's do it. They're £97 plus VAT in the UK, or 97 if you're not UK. Let's do it. You get the alert service that Nicola talked about as well. Let's have a conversation, see if I can help you. If not, I surely know where to send you. Have an amazing rest of the afternoon, people, morning or evening, depending where you're in the world. Reach out, say hello, send me some love, and look out for the next event in 2 weeks. Thank you again for everything. Have a lovely rest of the day, people. Bye now. Thank you for the love. Woo, all this love. Yay.